Hello, I am Pastor Damon Gator from the Prophetess House here in Atlanta, Georgia, and we're going to be talking with Bishop Thomas Weeks III and Prophetess Christina Glenn. Stay tuned because this is some exciting news, some exciting information, a lot of things that you want to know in this interview here, so just stay tuned here. Bishop Thomas Weeks III and Prophetess Christina Glenn, you're talking about a concept here that's called You Can Begin Again. Please explain this to us. What is You Can Begin Again?
Well, we both were talking, and one of the interesting things is our heart was, after all that you've been through, how do you start in a place that's fresh? The Bible says, after you have suffered a while, he shall establish you, make you, perfect you. Mm-hmm. But it says suffering. Mm-hmm. And after suffering, you have to begin again. Most people, somehow or another give up because they think that the suffering is the destruction, when really it's the perfection. Mm-hmm. And certainly God has given us some things, and I'm excited that the Lord has touched my heart with such a beautiful, awesome, and perfect vessel for my life. And of course, I'm ready to share my heart about where God is taking these new beginnings. And certainly I can say that she is phenomenal.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Yes, well, both of us are very excited about beginning again. In 2008, the number of 8 is new beginning. And going into 2009, I always said that 8 was the number of new beginning, and 2009 was going to be mine. So now with God really bringing that into influence now, with us being able to come together, it's been a new beginning, a new excitement. And beginning again is really leaving the past behind, walking away for it. That's what Paul said. I must forget those things which are behind, so I can press forward to those things which are before me. So I'm so glad that I've moved away from the past, and what's before me is awesome.
Absolutely. And I agree, and I celebrate with the word that we've come. Isaiah says, remember not the former things, neither consider the things of old, but behold, I will do a new thing, and it shall spring forth. And we have seen since our prayer time, our togetherness, our look at the future of the kingdom that God wants us to do things in, things just springing forth. And we want to share with individuals that it's not the end, it's really the beginning of something that's going to spring forth.
Excellent, excellent. I know that there's so many people that want to ask this question. Bishop, where did you find Prophetess Christina Glenn?
Well, it's a wonderful story. It's actually, truly, as I say, phenomenal. At one point, people thought I found her through a worldwide search. And to be honest with you, I was going through a little bit of a transition in my life, and there were producers that were coming to me and saying, Bishop, we want to be able to share your story. So why don't you share your story on how God's going to give you the next woman for your life? Long story short, we could not hold the content of it into a spiritual context. Many people thought we were going to go way off on the deep end and all those things, and that was never it. If people track my record, they will always recognize that out of the 5 relationship conferences I did, it was always first class, it was always cutting edge, and we wanted to present to a larger audience the truth about the process. I've been a pastor for 11 years, been an assistant pastor for several years before that, been in ministry all my life, and people are tired of fake things. They want real truth. And so we were going to share with them the process of growth and development. And it never took place. It was just a mayhem of how people's perspectives were. So we just let it die and bury. And beginning of the year, the Lord began to deal with me that this would be a year that I wanted to grow the ministry. I said, Lord, okay, Lord, fine. And the Lord said, now I'm going to have to heal you. And I said, okay. And then he said, thirdly, I'm going to send someone into your life to bless you and to be your wife in the future. And I was a little taken back by that because I wanted him to grow the ministry. I wanted him to heal me. But I didn't know if I was ready to actually receive someone into my life because I was carrying a lot of pain. And some people are not honest about pain. But when you have people that said, I'll be with you always through thick and thin, and then they leave the ministry or they change or they do for whatever reason, and you've been a pastor of 4,000 people, and now for circumstances still staying in there, you go down to about 600 people, and you're still trying to be consistent. There's a lot of pain involved. However, the Lord promised me this. He said that my latter shall be greater than my former. And that was the one thing I stayed with. So through the process, in February, I just got done teaching out in Las Vegas. I was flying back from a conference, Finding Yourself While in Transition. I was on the plane. The Lord spoke to me and said, I want you to speak out of your mouth that this will be the year that I'll send you someone that is your vessel to be married. And that was on a Saturday night. I was flying back Valentine's of all days alone.
Of all days.
And all days on the airplane coming back from Las Vegas. I got up Sunday night and I said, Lord, I'm going to decree a thing. And it shall be. And I decreed a thing. I said, Lord, I'm going to release it. And the church started celebrating. They've seen me alone by myself for almost 2 years. And when I released out of my mouth, I felt the heavens begin to open up. And prayer was before me for many days. And the Lord began to deal with me about a person as I began to go on consecration for March Miracle Madness, and it happened to be Prophetess Christina Glenn. And he said, when you two begin to share and talk, I'm going to do something very phenomenal between you. And as we began to talk, we shared about our core values, how we were raised, what we believe in, our focus in the kingdom, and just the things that were missing out of her life. I was meant to meet. The things that were missing out of my life, she was surely meant to meet. And we saw this kind of connection. And I know people would think, well, maybe she won some type of contest to be the next Mrs. Weeks. It was not at all. In fact, I wish that never would have happened, because that's a stigma that they have put out in stereotype. It was really God's hand one Sunday. I was actually in the office. You may remember this as my chief adjutant and pastor here. And I was expecting her to come to we left a message at her church to see if she could come for our March Miracle Madness.
Absolutely.
And her called back, and we were able to seal the date. And you said something to me that day. Now, you've been with me for 11 years, so this is not a happenstance. You've seen me on my worst days, my best days.
Absolutely.
And you said something to me. You said, Bishop, I believe that this woman of God has something on her life that will minister to yours. And it caused me to think. And in long story short, as I laid it before the Lord said something to me that was very profound. He said, everything that you have prayed for, everything that you've asked me for is already in her.
Wow.
That sealed it right there.
Wow.
That sealed it. Everything that you've already, and what was huge, and this is what blows my mind. Last year, I think July 10th, she launched her MySpace page. I remember some of the staff and people emailing me about a revival that she was preaching at, had her flyer and everything, and consider her coming to minister at the church. So I clicked, saw some photos of her. She was standing next to her brother, who I thought was her husband. And I said, I saw her image or her persona.
Yes.
I said, that's a powerful woman of God. She's really a blessing to the kingdom. And in the back of my mind, it's like, Lord, I just pray that when you send the right person into my life, that they have all the characteristics, all the things, and the passion for ministry to the degree and level. And I just left it alone. Well, lo and behold, come back to the beginning of this year, around March, I started clicking through and seeing some other photos that were actually on the website. Was the same one, because she just totally did her MySpace page over, just totally, it is on the, matter of fact, I've never seen a MySpace page like it ever in my life. And I looked at the extra photos, I said, this is the same person I saw last year, not knowing that the Lord heard my prayer a year ago. It's a powerful thing when God hears you in the midst of your suffering, in the midst of your trial, and already knows a year later, the thing I show you beforehand will be the blessing that will walk with you through there. And I can't say enough about her, and that's probably why it took this much time.
That's fine. Doing good, honey.
We have a passion about people. She's pastored for 7 years before stepping back into full-time evangelism. She was an evangelist at 13 years old. She started pastoring when she was in her early 20s and giving God a praise and birthing a church of people that were non-traditional churchgoers. She was faithful consistently. Her ministry is more dynamic than anybody I've seen this side of the generation in terms of the seriousness of teaching and preaching the word. Her gift of accuracy, prophetically given the word of the Lord. Her humility and her poise. And what touched me the most was when we talked, we both wanted togetherness. We didn't want to be in a relationship where the other person was always gone and you had to wait for that person to come back. And what was it? And what I loved is that she changed. And she was preaching 30-day revivals, 10-day revivals, 7-day revivals. She said, in order for this to work, I'm going to have to make a change.